Hello, I'm Nora, and welcome back to Novels with Nora. Today is our June version of our Buzzwordathon reading vlog. I do one of these every month, and this month, for once, I actually know exactly what I'm going to be reading, so how exciting. If you're unfamiliar, Buzzwordathon is a readathon year-long hosted by Booksanalala, one of my favorite booktubers, where typically every month there is a title prompt where you have to read a book with like that prompt in the title. Sometimes it's a word, sometimes it's a phrase, sometimes it's like punctuation. But then this year, because it's like an anniversary of Buzzwordathon, there's also a cover challenge where she gives a prompt of something that should be on the cover and then you read a book with that. So for this month, the title prompt is having to do with memory related words. So it could be like memory in the title or like forgetting, remembering, things that have to do with memory. And then the cover prompt is celestial objects. So like sun, moon, stars, all in that realm. And when I was thinking about what to read for this challenge in looking at my shelves, I realized that I had a book that actually fit both prompts, and that is none other than Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young. And this has forgetting right there in the title, but then also it has these like little starbursts, so it actually fits both prompts. And fun for me, because Booksanalala is my favorite booktuber, this is actually one of the books that she read for this month's prompts. So really quite excited about this. And while this does fit both prompts, I really like to have two books for the two prompts. So this fits for the title prompt and the cover, but I'm using it for the title. And then for the cover prompt, I have The Starving Saints by Caitlin Starling, and the reflective library covering makes it hard to tell, but there's a sun right behind the saint here. So that fits for the cover prompt. So these are the two books that I'll be reading in this vlog, and I'm filming these clips a little bit out of order because I started reading this and absolutely like devoured it. So I've technically already finished this, and I finished it before I'm filming this part. So things are a little out of order here, but finished this one, have already started this one, and this I can already tell you is going to be a great vlog because absolutely loved this and am loving this. So stick around if you want to hear my thoughts about these two. Okay, so like I said, these clips are being filmed a little bit out of order because I had started this one night, just like I couldn't find anything I wanted to watch, but like I wasn't ready for bed yet, so like I'll just pick this up and start reading. Not even entirely sure that I was going to use it for this challenge because this fits both of them, but I have it out from the library and really wanted to read it, and I started and was like, oh, this is a good one. I want to like get my reaction to this, and then I was like, where can I slot this in? And I realized that it fit perfectly for Buzzwordathon this month, so I ended up recording my reactions. But then I was like, I really want to finish this. I think I read it in like 2 or 3 sittings, and I was like, I really want to finish this, but I haven't technically, like I hadn't filmed the intro for this part of the vlog yet. So I was like, I'll just film my reactions and then like slot it in. So I have finished this, so I will go ahead and put all of those clips in now. Okay, hello. I am now like 60% through The Starving Saints, and I'm really only updating you right now because I want to just keep reading, and I know that I will just end up finishing it in one more sitting when I go to read because it's really not very much left, and I need to update you before I actually finish it because I started this 2 days ago, so it's been like 2 days of me reading this and I'm absolutely devouring it. So coming to you now tonight, kind of out of order with everything else that you're gonna see, just because I need to tell you about this so that I can finish it. Truly, that's how I'm feeling with this. I am loving it so much. Now there's a few things that I'm like, you know, I don't know that it's gonna necessarily be a 5-star, but I'm absolutely loving it. I really love like the medieval imagery. I should probably tell you what this is about. Yeah. So this, if you are unfamiliar, The Starving Saints by Caitlin Starling follows these 3 women in this castle that is under siege and has been for quite some time, and right as they are really like considering the worst in this castle, because like there are far too many people in here than what there should be, because when like a battle I guess started, we're not entirely sure what exactly happened to put them in this position, but the castle is under siege, and it seems like what happened was when like the opposing army came, people from like the neighboring like villages all fled to this castle as like a sanctuary to get away from the conflict. So now this castle is like overstuffed, like there's too many people here, they don't have enough food, they are like, they barely have clean water, like a random weird slightly alchemical miracle happened to give them clean water, and everyone is just starving and suffering. And right as they are considering cannibalism, because they know that that's really their only option to continue, the saints and like the deity that they pray to shows up and is like, don't worry guys, we got you covered. But while the 3 women who are in this castle, who are experiencing the magical things in slightly different ways. So first we have Focine, she's considered like the mad woman of this castle, and she is the one who made it possible for them to have clean water. She did some kind of weird divination type alchemical thing with like this weird like sulfur powder to create like to purify the water. So we're following her as she is trying to come up with some kind of miracle solution to create food out of nothing, and her struggles with that, and also like these weird little creatures that she has. So she definitely is the most like mystical creature. And then Sir Voin, who is a knight, has been assigned to watch her, and Sir Voin is really struggling because she just wants to like get out there into the battle, into the action. Sitting and waiting and like just like being constantly like tense and like coiled and ready for battle is not doing well for her, because she's currently in service of the king, and he has kept her as kind of like a lapdog and like as this ornamental like knight piece, and she's not like doing her job like with the oath that she swore to protect people. She feels very helpless in this situation. She just wants to like go out and fight, and she can't do that. So she is feeling very helpless. And the way that like when the deity people show up, the way that she succumbs to it, fascinating. And then finally we have Trella, who is someone from Sir Voin's past come back to haunt her, and that's the whole reason she's here. And as this is happening, she's like, my revenge is no longer worth it, I need to get out of here. And so we're kind of following her as she's very like sneaky and very clever and kind of like snarky a little, and she's trying to find a way out. She like does not care really about helping the people there, and so she's just trying to find a way out for herself. And she found something that will exact a price from her, and I am really loving this because the castle is truly like dissolved into chaos at this point, because when it's like they call it the Constant Lady and then her saints, when they show up, most of the people are like salvation, like they don't even think twice or question anything, because they're just like, our savior is here, like we don't care. Because once they arrive, mind you, they came in nothing, like they didn't have anything with them, no food or anything, but then they're like throwing all these feasts. Where'd the food come from? Yeah, exactly. There is a quote here on the back from T. Kingfisher. It's cannibalism like you've never seen it before. And I do have to agree. The way that cannibalism is done is crazy in here. And like, I would love to tell you all about it, but that would spoil it. And I'm just having such a wonderful time because like all the characters are very like individual, but they all also interact with each other and kind of like rely on each other for certain things, because they are some of the few people that have not succumbed to the chaos of what's happening in the castle. And so seeing just the utter like devastation of the people here, but then also like they're holding out hope that like something is going to save them, because they've been sending messengers like through like the like wall to get out, and so they're like, help has to be coming. Help is not coming for them. And so like our three main characters, like they know that help is not coming and that they need to be the ones to do something. And so Focine is a really interesting character to follow, because she is really thinking like, okay, I can do this. I just need to like think hard enough and I can create food out of literally nothing, because that's how she purified the water. But like she doesn't know how she's doing it. Like she is doing it and it's working. She just doesn't know how she's doing it. It's very interesting. And also I think Focine is my favorite character to follow, because there's also this priory in here, which is like the religious order. They're all nuns and they pray to the Constant Lady and the saints. And she was a nun in the priory, but she left because she started to become like a heretic, because she was doing more of these like alchemical things that weren't supported by the religion. And the religion is very interesting because it's very like mathematical and very like precise. Not at all like how you would consider like a normal religion, or like a religion that we actually have, not fictional. And so she's a really interesting character to follow, because it's like she wants to go to like the high priestess or the prioress for help, but she also knows that like that won't work for her, because she left on like less than stellar terms, you know. And so seeing her really try her best to like create genuine miracles, but then also kind of succeeding and not really knowing how, and also she can kind of like phase through the walls. It's really very fascinating what's going on with her. And at this point, the story is just like very interesting, because there's definitely some like fantastical elements, but it's like, is it fantastical because that's actually what's happening, or because everyone here is just like starved and just like not really in their right mind, so we're just like seeing things? It's very fascinating. And the three characters are also different, because there's Focine, who just like wants to help her people, and there's Sir Voin, who also wants to help her people, but in a very different way, because she wants to like go out and fight, and like that's what she knows that she's good for, so that's really all she wants to do. But she's also like succumbed to the magic, I guess, of the Constant Lady and the saints. And then there's Trella, who's just like, I'm here for myself, and I'm realizing that this is not going the way that I wanted it to, so I'm out of here. But then also realizing like, maybe these people are worth saving, you know. So it's just really fascinating, because the three women are all so different, but also they all have like common goals. So seeing them work together is really wonderful. I'm really enjoying the writing. I have the audiobook, And that has made me read this so much faster because I started without the audiobook, and I just like some of the names of things were a little like tripping me up. Like my phonics came in handy and I could sound them out, but like having the audiobook was really helpful for that. And I'm really loving the narrator. And I made the mistake of listening to like the sample of the audiobook, and I loved the narrator's voice and the way she did these characters. And so I couldn't get her voice out of my head when I was listening to it. And I was like, I know if I had the audiobook it would be so much better. But the hold that I had through Libby wouldn't come in for like another 4 weeks, and it's not on Hoopla. So I was like, where else can I get this? Because the narrator's voice was like in my head at this point. And so I signed up for a free month of Everand, the audiobook listening platform, and this is the one credit that I have because I am loving the audiobook. The narrator's voice is so wonderful, and she like really brings the story to life. This is my first Caitlin Starling book. I tried to read The Luminous Dead, and it just didn't work for me. But this is working for me, and I think part of that is the audiobook. I think that if I hadn't had it, I'd be reading it so much slower, and I just wouldn't be as into it as I am, because once the Constant Lady and the Saints come into the story, we lose all sense of time because things are just like happening, and like the sun is moving in ways that it really shouldn't, which is why I'm like questioning the like what's actually happening. Like, is it magical? Is it paranormal? Is it just like insanity? Because everything that's happening is like, well, this shouldn't be happening, but it is, or is it? You know, and I feel like this is definitely going to have like an ambiguous ending. At least like I feel like it's going to. Obviously can't say for certain, but I do feel like this seems like the type of book to have an ambiguous ending. Like we're not going to like have it spelled out for us. This is what happened and this is why it happened and this is how it's going to wrap up. I do feel like it's going to be very ambiguous because there's just a lot of moving pieces here, and I'm loving it because everyone is like in this like such close quarters. Like I feel like I'm really like in this castle with them, and I'm eating this up. I'm genuinely having such a wonderful time as I've been talking about it for like 9 minutes at this point, but I'm loving this so much and I cannot wait. I do think I'm gonna try and finish it tonight, if not tomorrow, and I'm really just having such a wonderful time with this. This is a library copy, and I am going to the bookstore tomorrow, so if I can finish it before then, I can figure out if I want to buy myself a copy. Also, you can't really tell because of the glare, but like this cover is stunning. So I'm really just having a wonderful time because it's like there's just so many moving pieces, but they all fit together really well, and I can see why this wouldn't be for everyone. Like I can definitely see that because there's so many moving pieces and they don't necessarily all fit together, but they all work together. So it's like we have the religious order of the priory, but then we also have like whatever weird alchemical things Focine is doing, and then we have like the knighthood with Servoin, and then also just like the snarky, also weird connection to the Saints with Trella. And also the Saints are crazy because it's like the Constant Lady is like the big divinity person, and then there's the Saints under her, but all the Saints are like men, and then there's the Constant Lady who's a woman, and that to me is fascinating. But I'm really enjoying this. And then we also have like the king, and then the Sir Leodegardus, who is like actually in charge of this castle, and it's just a lot of very interesting things happening here, and I'm loving all of them. So it definitely had a slower start because I was like, because the synopsis tells you that like their divinity person like shows up, so I was like waiting for that to happen, and it didn't happen until like halfway through, and then it did, and I was like, oh, okay, I see. So I am really having a wonderful time with this, and it truly is cannibalism in a way that I've never seen done before, and I would love to tell you about it, but again, that would be a spoiler. But I'm just having such a wonderful time with this. It is so amazing. I am really curious to see if we will find out how the divinity people are doing what they're doing. That's what I would like to know, because it's like they have everyone like in this trance, and so I'm curious to know what's going on there. Is it just like mass hysteria, or is it something else? That's the one answer I would like to have, is it mass hysteria, or is it like actually something happening to these people? If I get that one answer, I'll be happy, but I won't get that answer until I finish reading. So I'm going to do that and probably update you either again tonight or tomorrow, but definitely for sure tomorrow, to like sleep on it and like wrap my head around it, you know. But we'll see if I end up finishing this tonight. Okay, so I'm in like the home stretch here. I am on page 313 of 344. So I have like 30 pages left, and oh my god, the only reason I'm coming on here now, normally I would just finish it and then give you updates, but oh my god, I'm tempted to make this like a spoiler reading vlog because I have so many things I want to say, but I won't do that because I want you to read this book for yourself and experience the things that I'm experiencing, because oh my god, yeah, wow, there's so many things that are happening, but they're all kind of like coalescing together, and like the evil is really starting to get evil. Like everyone is succumbing, no one is immune. And because the thing is, and something that I'm loving so much about this is that like it plays on everyone's deepest desires and like biggest fears, and it's just like turning everyone into like the worst yet most powerful versions of themselves. And I think it's really saying something that the worst versions of people are also the most powerful versions of them. You know, like Focine, whoa. But also like as she becomes more powerful, she also starts to care less and less about the other people that she claimed to care so much about in the first place. And I think that's interesting. And it's just like as they all gain more power, they start to care less about the other people that they used to care about and more about themselves. And I'm quite liking that. And as we're getting more on like the lore of like the things that have come into this castle, I'm like, oh, it's very interesting, because like there's aspects of things that I've like read about or heard about in like other mythologies and like different like storytellings, but this is taking everything and like putting it all together in like a very interesting way, and I'm really enjoying it. And it's like I want to tell you more about like what's being put together here, but again, I want you to experience, because if I tell you certain things, you're gonna know what's going on, and you just need to go into it. So like I said, I have about 30 pages left. It is, let's see, what time is it? It is 10:47. Let's see how long it takes me to finish this, because I do want to go to bed kind of early tonight, but that's already not going to happen. But I am eating this up. I know that I'm not going to have like fully comprehensive thoughts tonight, just because, yeah. So I'm going to finish this, and then I'm going to give you my immediate thoughts when I'm done, and then I'll come back tomorrow to give you more solidified thoughts. The acknowledgements and then we'll chat. Okay, so I finished it. It is 11:14, so not too bad actually, but I don't know what to think. I really enjoyed the way it ended. It did have an ambiguous ending like I thought it would, but like happy ending, kind of. Like everything worked out for them in the end. Are they all like irrevocably changed for the better and the worse? Yes. Will they ever be the same again? No. Will they carry this trauma with them for the entire rest of their lives? Yes. But did I like it? Yes, I did. The thing is, I can't tell if it's like a 3-star or a 5-star. And that is really odd, because it's like I really, really enjoyed it. But at the same time, I'm like, it felt like a fever dream. Like I just, I don't really know what exactly to think at this moment, because I really, really enjoyed it. The way cannibalism was done, but in a way where like cannibalism always has a lot of symbolism with it. It's not just, oh, let's eat this person. There's always so much more to it, and this really, really did that, and it was just so good. I've never had anything like this before, and because it felt like a fever dream. There was so much going on, but like I love the way these 3 characters all like work together and interact with each other and kind of like mirror each other in a way. Lots to think about. I really want to read an interview, like read or watch an interview with the author talking about this book, because where did this idea come from? What made her put all of these pieces together into one book? That's what I want to know, because that was crazy. I did really enjoy it. I did. It just feels like, what was that? What did I just read? Yeah, so that's how I'm feeling, and I don't think that that's necessarily going to change, but I am tired. And so I feel like sleeping on it and then reading some reviews and maybe an author interview will help. I love to read reviews, because a lot of times people will mention something that I'm like, oh my god, yes, I did really like that, or you're right, I didn't love that. Because sometimes it's like I have a feeling, but I don't know how to verbalize or like articulate that feeling about a book. So reading reviews helps me to articulate my feelings. But yeah, I feel like I need a good in-depth author interview where she talks about like her inspiration behind it and like what messaging she wants to get across, because like there's a lot of pieces. I'm feeling a lot of things with this. Mostly, I really, really enjoyed it, like a lot, but also, oddly enough, I wish the stakes had been higher, because it's like I never really worried for our 3 main characters. Like bad things were happening to them, but I was never worried for them. Worried for them maybe, but not worried about them. Like I knew they were going to be okay, even if they came out completely different on the other side. I just always knew that they like weren't gonna die, you know? Lots to think about. Right now, it's feeling like a 4-star. Because it's like, I really enjoyed it, but there are things that I'm like what did I just read, you know? So I feel like I do need to sleep on it and then like think on it. But if nothing else, we did complete the cover prompt for June Buzzwordathon. So we have this like sun, I guess, behind the saint. So this was really something. Yeah, okay. I am really going to need to process this one, if you couldn't tell. I also really need to go to sleep. So I'm gonna go to sleep. I am going to ponder, and then I will get back to you tomorrow. Probably tomorrow, yeah. And we will just go from there, because I feel like I'm gonna have a lot more to say once I'm like rested and have thought about it a little bit more, but like, this was something, you know? And it was a good something, but it was a weird something. And that's where I'm gonna leave you for this evening. And now you're back to me. Hey. Yeah, so clearly I really loved this book, and so much so that I actually purchased a copy. I mentioned in those last clips that I was going to the bookstore, and I did end up purchasing a copy because the more I thought about it, the more I was like, I think this is a 5-star book. Like, I really do think so. Because I was like, I think it's like a 4-star, but then I was like, but there's nothing that I disliked to bring it down a star. So then the more I thought about it, the more I pondered, I was like, I think this is a 5-star. So that's what I'm gonna go ahead and give it. I feel like I sometimes struggle in giving things a 5-star because I give them out so frequently, but I think it's not so much that I'm just like really liberal with my ratings. I think it's more that like I pick up things that I know I'm gonna enjoy. And there's nothing wrong with that because I mostly read things that I know I'm gonna like. And this one was actually surprising because I didn't know if I was gonna like it because the synopsis was kind of vague, and everyone, like every review I read was like, what did I just read? Like, this was a fever dream of a book. And I do agree, but it really worked for me. I absolutely loved it. So this is a 5-star, and I did purchase myself a copy, and I absolutely loved it. It was so weird and freaky, but also like so at the same time rooted in reality somehow. I don't know, it was very interesting. I then read a whole lot of author interviews. I find that when I'm reading author interviews, it's usually because there was something in the book that I'm like, what is going on here? Or because I really loved it and want to know more about where the author got the inspiration. And that was the case with this, and it was just so interesting reading her thoughts on it, like the author's own thoughts about how this all came together. And I absolutely loved it because Caitlin Starling had said that it started as like a pitch for a video game where each of our 3 main characters were like playable characters. And like, so that was super interesting. And she mentioned in one of the interviews how when she was writing like the pitch for the video game, how you can play from each of the characters and you like can switch off between the ones that you play. And so it's like you want to further the objectives of one character while also not to the detriment of one of the other characters. And that's how this felt, because with each perspective you are following a completely different character, and they all have different desires and different objectives, but also then sometimes their objectives go against the objectives of one of the other perspective characters. But like, and you want each character to succeed individually, but you also want them to like succeed together. So it made for like a really intertwined, interesting reading experience, and I absolutely love this. Again, I didn't think I was going to, truly a fever dream of a book, but I ate this up. So this really was a 5-star for me. Okay, all of that being said, loved The Starving Saints. And last night I started Spells for Forgetting, and I was very apprehensive going into this because this has sat on my shelf for a very long time. This is the Fairy Loot edition that I've had genuinely for what feels like forever. And it's one of those things where it's like, it always sounded intriguing, but never more so than any of the other things on my shelf. So I never picked it up. But then I fit perfect. That's why I love doing this challenge, because it gets me to read things on my shelves that normally would just like sit there, because I'm more interested in picking up like the newer, more shiny, exciting things on my shelves, where this challenge really helps me to read the things that have been on my shelf for a long time because I have to read to the prompt. So I was very apprehensive going into this because I've never read anything from this author. I've heard some mixed things, that it's like fun but also kind of boring. And then when Booksanalala read it and she was like, it was fine, I didn't love it, I was very much like dragging my feet through starting it. And then I started it last night. I am currently 130 pages in, and let me tell you, I am loving it. I am really eating this up. And I think what really helped is I read the first like 30 pages just like with my eyes, and I was like I'm having a fine time, but I feel like I want to be more immersed in the story. So I looked, and Libby had the audiobook that I picked up, and that is the move with this one. I feel like it's a full cast of characters, because I should probably tell you what this is about, but anyway, audiobook, full cast of characters, which really helps to have like a more immersive experience. But anyway, in Spells for Forgetting, we follow Emery as she is living on this island, and I think it was like 14 years ago, don't quote me on that, there was a fire and it tore her friend group apart. So her friend group was Emery and her love interest August, and then her best friend Lily and her love interest Dutch. And after this fire, it completely tore them apart. And August, who was accused of starting the fire and who Lily died in that fire, so he was then accused of murdering her, him and his mom fled the island, never to be seen or heard from again. And then 14 years later, he comes back to the island to bury his mom, but then it brings up old memories and old feelings and old secrets. And so we're kind of like uncovering things from the past while also dealing with like the emotions of the past and also with the present. And I'm really enjoying it because we follow Emery and August's perspectives. They're like our main characters, but then in between we also get chapters from those same two, but they're like 9 months before the fire, 5 years before the fire. So we're also like getting to know like the nitty gritty of the friendship before the fire tore them apart. But then we also get occasionally chapters from like other perspectives. So like Dutch has a chapter, and then Emery's dad had a chapter. And so we get like extra information from them that really makes you question everything. And I'm eating this up. This feels like an adult version of something that Erin A. Craig would write. And if you're not familiar, I love Erin A. Craig's writing, but she currently only writes YA. I do think she has an adult book coming out soon though. But this feels like something that she would write, but in like an adult perspective, and I'm loving it. It's so atmospheric, and like the island that they're on has like magic like woven through the island. So like different things are happening here that like have like magical undertones to them, and like the women on this island are the practitioners of magic and also like the keepers of the island, so that's really interesting. And then also the way the island like makes money is that like tourists come in the fall seasons to like see this like orchard that they have, because the orchard did grow back, and but like they all hate the tourists because they're like outsiders to this town, and like they'll never understand it the way that the people who live there do. The town is just so interesting because it really feels like Small Favors by Erin A. Craig, in that this town is like very secluded and like very like all wrapped up in itself. They don't need anything from outside, like they have it all within themselves, and like very isolated. But like every little shop and every like business and job is passed down through families, so it's like no one really has a say in what they do. Everyone just kind of does what their parents did before them. So we're dealing with like this friend group, and like in the past we're seeing them be like, I kind of want to get out of here, like I don't want to be trapped in doing the same thing that my parents have always done. And it's just so fascinating, and I'm absolutely loving the writing, and the audiobook is definitely helping because I'm loving getting like all the different voices for the different characters, and it's really like sucking me in. But also just like the emotion that's in here, because Emery and August were like in love. Like one of the characters even mentions that there was like everyone has their first love, but like not like they had something like truly special. And when August left, it like broke Emery. And so we're seeing her in the past like dealing with like grieving him even though he's still alive, like, and she knows that he's out there somewhere. She knows that she'll probably never see him again. So we're dealing with like her grief. And then also when he comes back, we're seeing her like confront those feelings. So there's just like a lot of emotion in here, and I'm really loving it. But there's also so many secrets, because it's like what really caused the fire, who was behind it, why is everyone lying about where they were that night? Like no one really knows what happened, but everyone has like a piece of the puzzle. And I am really loving this. So like I said, I'm about 130 pages in, and I plan on just like reading all day because I'm really loving this. So far, the book that I picked for this month's prompts, absolutely fantastic. We had a 5-star and a potential 5-star. So I'm feeling good about this. I'm gonna keep reading, having a really wonderful time with this, and genuinely the audiobook is like perfection. I'm really loving it. The shower's running, so forgive the background noise, but I'm not finished yet. I still have like another 100-ish pages, but oh my gosh, secrets are coming to light. The island herself is pushing the secrets to the surface. It's like you knew that like someone was lying about something, but then when it turns out that every single person is lying about something, and like one person's lie turns into everyone's lie because they're all just like, yeah, I'll latch onto that and like spin it in a way that works for me. Gagged. Now I will say there's one thing about this that I'm not loving, and it's that the fire that like was the catalyst for all of this took place right after they graduated high school, and it in the book explicitly stated that they were 18 at the time, and now they've said multiple times that it's 14 years later, which would make these characters like between like 30 and 33, wide range. These characters act like they're like mid-20s at the oldest. Yeah, that's the one thing that I can't quite wrap my head around, is that they feel not that much older than me. I'm 21, and they just don't feel that much older than me. Like they're supposed to be like grown, you know, and it still feels like none of them have anything in their lives together. They're all struggling, which like understandable, right? Especially everything that happened, but like they don't feel like adults. and they're definitely supposed to, and so that takes me out of it a little bit, is because it could definitely still read YA. It definitely could. Now, the one exception to that is August has, like, he's a professor at a college, which is definitely, like, you know, older, but, like, that's the only thing that really marks them as, like, being older. Yeah, like, it still just feels kind of young, which, like, is totally fine, but because they've said multiple times how, like, they give you the math to be able to figure out how old these characters are, they don't feel 32. They don't. So it just feels a little like, you know, maybe, like, don't put the years in, but also, like, I guess you're gonna, I don't know. It just feels a little like, that's not how old they are. Like, there's no way. But they do, it does feel older than YA. It does. Especially with just, like, the writing and everything. It feels older than YA, but they don't feel like they're 32. So that's, like, really the only issue I'm having with it right now. And also, it just feels like, I will say, though, I'm loving Adrienne Young's writing. This is the first book I've read from her, and I definitely will be picking up more from her because I'm really enjoying this. It really does feel like an older, grittier Erin A. Craig. And I am loving it. I feel like also there's just, like, so many secrets coming out, but they're coming out in a way that's, like, keeping you into the story. It's not like, oh, a whole bunch here and then, like, nothing and then some more. It's like every chapter we're, like, learning something, and if we're not learning something, we're, like, building on what we've learned, or we're, like, seeing a character grapple with what they've learned. So I'm really enjoying the flow of the story and, like, the pace that we're going at, and I'm loving it. I will say summer is not the best time to read this because this takes place in, like, fall turning to winter, so reading it when it's, like, 90 degrees out, sunny, not really, like, fitting the vibe. I started it last night and, like, that felt better because then it was, like, dark. That's really it. But, like, reading it during the day today, I feel like I can't, like, sink into it as much just because I feel very displaced from it. So this would be, like, a perfect, like, wintry fall read. I feel like that would be perfect. But I am really, really enjoying it, and I'm loving the character, the perspective shifts that we're getting. That's also really helping to keep me going because it's like, even if it's like, we get a lot of Emery chapters, and, like, I don't mind her. She's, like, the main character here, so it makes sense. But some of hers are, like, just my least favorite because she knows the least. We know that, like, every other character knows more than she does, at least, like, some aspects. She knows literally nothing, pretty much. But, like, all the other characters know something. So, like, being in their perspective is just a little bit more fun because you know that you're going to get some answers. Where in Emery's perspective, you know it's just going to be her finding things out and being like, goodness. So that is something I will say. However, usually when it's an Emery chapter, right after, you'll get someone else's perspective, or, like, we'll go back in time. And so it, like, keeps you into it because it's like, oh, I just have to get through this chapter, and then we get, like, a whole bunch of more stuff. But also when you're reading Emery's chapters, she's discovering things on her own too. It's not just like she's going to people being like, tell me the truth. She's, like, sleuthing and she's finding things out for herself. So I am really enjoying this. I'm genuinely having a very great time. I have, like, 100 pages left, and yeah, I fear of what's gonna happen. We're learning that the things that we thought we knew as the reader and as Emery about what happened the night of the fire, not true. And so it's just like everyone in this town and on this island played a role in what happened that night. And so it's just like finding the pieces and then finding the thread that connects it. And I'm really having a great time. It's like murder mystery, but, like, in this spooky town where we also have, like, there's magic. And the island herself, because they refer to her as her name is Saoirse, we love her. She is kind of, like, helping the process along and, like, bringing things to light. So I'm really enjoying it. Also, it seems like Emery might have more magic than she's been led to believe, because everyone's kind of just been lying to her and keeping her in the dark, like, for her own good. Yeah, right. So I'm having a lot of thoughts. I'm having a very good time. I really can't wait to finish. So I am just going to, actually, I'm going to get dinner, and then I think I'll probably pick this back up while my dinner's cooking, and then definitely after, because, again, reading it at night just feels more atmospheric for me because super sunny and hot here in this. Yeah, but I'm having a really great time. I was listening to the audiobook, and I did a coloring page on my iPad that, like, I felt like fit the vibe to try and put me in, like, the islandy fall vibe, and that did help. So I really am having a great time. Also, I did mention this is the Fairy Loot edition, so the cover's a little bit different, and it has these sprayed edges. This is one of my favorite Fairy Loot editions because a lot of times they just do, like, a solid edge, or they, like, do words on the edge, or just too much. This I really like because it's genuinely just, like, a continuation of the cover with, like, the forest and, like, the starbursts. Like, I think that it looks really cool. And then the dust jacket comes off and has, like, the little, like, cabin in the woods. And then the end papers, on this side we have Emery. Yeah, look at her. And then on the other side we have August. Now, I will say this depiction of August gives him, like, reddish blonde hair, and he has, like, dark hair in the book, and it's, like, mentioned several times because he has dark hair, and then Dutch, the other guy in the group, has blonde hair. So don't love that, but I am really enjoying this. Like, I'm having a very great time. So that's where I'm gonna leave you for that, because I could just keep rambling about the things I like in here. So I'm not gonna do that because I do still have to finish it, but I'm going to get dinner cooking and then come back at some point, hopefully when it's later and I can really sink into it a little bit more. Narrators. Okay, that is the end of that. Yeah, this is a 4-star, not a 5-star. Mainly because I wanted the plot here to be more similar to Small Favors in that there was no one person in the wrong, really, because even though the one person like started the problem, everyone kind of fed into it, which is kind of what happened here. But at the same time, like, we had one person to pin like all of the evil on, and it wasn't just like they were doing something bad for the greater good, they were doing something bad for their own gain. And so it just felt a little like, oh, so we've made a villain for ourselves. Like, it, I don't know, because the character is throughout the book as someone else, and then once we like get to all of the reveals, they become very much like the villain. Like, they lose all of their humanity and like they are a villain, which, you know, that is how it is sometimes, you know, I understand, but it felt a little cheap. I feel like it cheapened the story. And then we ended, like, we didn't really solve the conflict. We kind of just like glossed over it. It was like, I won't tell if you won't. And then it was like a time jump, like 6 years later. I was like, oh, okay. But I did really enjoy it. The vibes were great. I really enjoyed like the island setting, and I really enjoyed the writing and the characters. And so it's gonna be a 4-star for me, just because, yeah, that ending kind of like took me out of it, because we spent so long building up to like what actually happened that night, and then we find out and it's like, really? That's it? And so it just kind of like cheapened the whole experience overall. But I did enjoy it. Besides those small few little things, I did actually really enjoy this, and it's gonna be a 4-star for me. And I definitely will pick up other things by Adrienne Young. I know she has like a young adult like fantasy pirate series, but I know she has more books that have like very similar covers to this one, and I'm interested in picking those up. So that's where we're at with that. And that also brings us to the end of this vlog. I finished both of the books for Buzzwordathon, the memory related words in the title, and also celestial object on the cover, but celestial object on the cover. We had a 5-star and a 4-star. So I would say this was a very successful reading vlog, because typically I have like, if there's one 5-star, then it's usually like a 3-star, but like we had a 5-star and a 4-star. So that's pretty exciting. And 2 new authors for me to read from. For Caitlin Starling, I had started to read her other book, The Luminous Dead, because it is very much like space horror, something that I'm into, and I just like couldn't really get into it. But now that I'm more familiar with her writing and that I know the audiobook, I think that might be the way to go. So I will definitely be picking up more from her. And like I said, I'll definitely be picking up more from Adrienne Young. So I would say very successful reading month, and this is why I love participating in Buzzwordathon, because it spans the whole year, so I don't feel like I need to like cram books in like in a specific like time frame, because a lot of time readathons are just like a weekend or just a week, and it's like read as much as you can in this time, which I don't love. But this, because it's the whole year, and it's really like you could do it like 1 book a month. I usually do 2, but like it's also, I can find things that I'm already interested in and just fit them in during those months. So I'm really having a great time with it, and I love that it, like, this has been on my shelf forever, and I probably would have stayed on my shelf even longer if not for Buzzwordathon. So I'm really happy that I was able to get to this, and then this was just a fun thing for me to read, and I was glad that I was able to fit it in here. So highly recommend Buzzwordathon. I know we're already halfway through the year, but like, pick it up now. It's really fun. So that is the end of my vlog. I hope you enjoyed it. Have you read anything from either of these authors? And if so, I would love to hear your thoughts. If you've read either of these books, would love to hear your thoughts on those as well. But other than that, I hope you like the video, and then will like the video, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in another video soon. Bye.